Let's see.
Okay, there's Rob. Greetings, Rob. Good to have you on.
There we go. How are you guys doing?
Excellent. Yeah, good to see you. Yeah, with the partridge as your lucky token in the background.
Oh yeah, I took the parrots out in the other room this time because they're too noisy when I start talking.
Right, but the partridge being stuffed won't make too much of a noise, will he?
Yeah, no, if he does, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I was going to say that would be a good one to put in the next top 10. All right. Well, I've got 12 noon here, 10 Central. Mark, I'll hand it back to you.
Hey, so I thought, just change things up from last month just slightly and have, I want to bring Rob on to talk just a little bit about the PNW. I think a lot of guys don't really have a full grasp on what goes on down there. Now, Rob's telling me it's pretty quiet, so he might not have a whole lot to share, but he's been a good contact for me as far as just keep me in the loop of what's going on down there in general terms. I mean, obviously, I wish he'd tell me stuff that he can't tell me, but he refuses to do that. So, but yeah, I wanted to welcome Rob on board. He's like I said, a great contact. So he runs the hedge desk for United Grain.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mark. Appreciate it. Little background about myself. I've been in the industry 15 plus years, started at Mitsui on the sales side. So traveling overseas, meeting with flour millers and working with United Harvest at that time. That was a joint venture between Mitsui and CHS. The last big commodity super cycle that happened, we broke up that JV and formed United Grain again. And somehow over the time, wound up back at United Grain, where I am now since 2016, in charge of their hedge desk. So it's really interesting on this side because I get to talk to a lot more farmers versus overseas flour mill CEOs, and I get a lot better feel for the grain that's coming. So we've right now, as Mark said, it's been pretty quiet on the export side. China's obviously down in Brazil, sourcing their beans out of there. But during their peak season last fall, I mean, it's just every day we're doing 2, 3 boats a day, and we're filling up. China has started checking prices again on soybeans for next fall. I think all the exporters out here probably maybe got 10% booked for OND. And now they're waiting. Obviously, ocean freight's taken off. Soybean prices have gone up, and crush margins in China are down. So they're checking, but they haven't really bought anything recently. I anticipate that's going to start picking up here soon.
Guys, if you can mute your phones while Rob is speaking, please, that would be very nice of you. Thank you for muting. Okay, Rob, sorry about that.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, Simon. The corn side of things, it's all about Brazil right now. We haven't done any corn business. We specifically United Grain, we don't do China corn business. It's a hard fight to load. We might do it for somebody else, let them take on the risk and execute it for them. But we do know, though, what is going on in the market. So when you see the board take off 15, 20 cents a couple of weeks ago, yeah, that's back when China was booking 2-3 million tons at a crack. And the big question right now in everybody's mind is, will China execute the old crop program that they've got purchased? We think they do. We think we positioned in the market for that. We aggressively bull spread the July SEP, July Ds. Those things have just worked great, and we're starting to get out of them right now. I am personally, I think there's probably more to go on it, but I don't want to overstay the welcome on the calendar spreads, because eventually they're going to peak. So Brazil is what we're really focused on. I've got a lot of contacts, and I'm sure, Simon, you can fill us in on the weather down there, but it's all about the safrinha crop. USD at 109 is too high, in my opinion. It's got to be more like, I think that the trade's at 95, probably they're trading that, and my contact is saying it's more like 97.2. I think that's a fair number, but as we go day by day, and as Simon's going to probably say, we're in the hot, dry season, it's just going to keep going down. Obviously, that's why wheat is coming up. Wheat's got a put in the market, a corn put, basically. If corn keeps going up, which we think it will, wheat is going to go up begrudgingly, I guess. So so corn is the #1 focus right now for me. Soybeans, in the coming months, they will be. I think once we're going to get tired of talking about weather in South America. So then we're going to focus back on U.S. growing weather. It's getting seeded quickly. I do think, Simon, you'll tell us if there's going to be a big heat up in the middle of May. I think that would put a premium back into the market.
Yep.
But it's, for us, we're just trading, not falling in love with any positions here. For the most part, we're just taking profits, I think, because China is they're in the shadows, I guess. They're not coming after the grain like they were. So that tells me we're just trading weather right now. And yes, I will give you, Mark, some indications if they start coming back and asking more serious questions, but obviously not divulging any proprietary information. But
we love proprietary information, Rob.
It's the PNW market. It's not like the Gulf. It's kind of a niche market. We're primarily a wheat export elevator. Do 5-6 million tons of corn, wheat, soybeans a year. Just had another record year. Obviously, everybody that's handling grain is doing well this year. But I just counted 10 corn boats in the lineup. Yesterday, you saw export inspections, a little over 2 million tons of corn. Should be another good week next week. We're getting the product in. There's no weather delays. BNSF cooperating, placing the shuttles when they need to. So, yeah, things are going smoothly.
Wow. Incredible. Incredible. All right, Mark, if it's all right with you, would you like me to begin and then we can get this thing rock and rolling?
Yeah, let's get going.
Okie doke, guys. All right. Well, Rob, thanks a lot for that. You've hit upon a number of points that I wanted to go over today. And folks, a very warm welcome. Thanks for coming on today. This is a partnership between AFC, which I've been at for 28 years, the 17th Dot, which is a new subsidiary where we join intelligence from around the world in many different areas. I'll show you that today. And of course, with Mark and Gibson's new trading platform called Steel Shot Group. Today is May 4th, 2021. And I think many of us from all over the world, I'm down here in Uruguay, and this is what we're going to be focusing on today. And in all future 17th Dot Top 10 webinars, we're going to be doing one every single month. If you want to note on your calendar, I think it's going to be Friday, June 4th is going to be the next one. But we're going to talk about weather predictions, the big ones. We're going to be talking about what is the future? I mean, what is beyond 2021? We're going to be going out not only 2, 3, 4 years, we're going to be going out 10 years. We need to get prepared. Look, the major theme here is that the world is changing very quickly. And it's just going to accelerate. The Hopi Indians have a word for it. It's called Koyaanisqatsi, and it means rapid change leading to more and more chaos. Now, out of that chaos can become, obviously, organized trades. There is good news in chaos too. It's just that we've been trained to see the negativity. So we're going to be talking about potential black swans, big events, climate change threats, geopolitical situations, obviously opportunities to make more money, firm stock, investment recommendations, new technology, how it's changing our world, and so forth. You know, agribusiness, high tech, energy, the grid. Is it going to go down in certain countries? What are the trading relationships that are going to be changing? Cryptocurrency, I'm going to be hitting today. New health, are medical corporations going by the wayside as cancer rates go up? You know, there's a number of you online that I know have just bought a machine called the Emf that we recommended last time. It's called the pulsed electromagnetic frequency with plasma healing. I mean, the more you know, folks, the better you can do. It's just that we're so trained only to look at our Bloomberg screens and to read USA Today. And a lot of this now is lying to us. I mean, my reputation globally is just to say it as it is. I'll be very, very frank with you. And I may not always be politically correct, but I'm going to show you and guide you as to the best we know possible. So with that said, I want to read out a couple of things to you because I want us all to be on the same page in thinking ahead over the next 45 minutes. So as you know, in the COVID new world, we've entered a new era. And is it getting better or is it getting worse? I think it's doing both. It just depends what you're thinking, where you are, and what you're planning. But things are not the same. I mean, different events last year and this year have provided awe and shock. And I'm still in that phase. And I think somehow like a corrosive blister is occurring in many economies. Notice that the news never talks about the 25 or 30% unemployment. Do you really believe that when we went up to 34% unemployment, we're now back to 14%? It's not true. So when you put in garbage in, you get garbage out. And the point of this special group is to join our minds and to really think about what is the big pieces that are going on. Because I can tell you with 100% certainty, we've got black swans coming. And their threat level is increasing and it's becoming multifaceted and it's involving more of us. Not only that, we're seeing multiple paradigm shifts happening in different segments of the global economy and even within humanity itself. I mean, look at transhumanism. Look at 58 different sexes. You know, I don't want to disrespect anybody. I was just in the generation that there's male and female and that's it. But humans as a whole are changing. So we need to think differently. And that's why we started the 17th Dot. It's all about divergent thinking. And if you didn't see the movie, The Divergent, go and see it this weekend because we've got to prepare. There's always new ways, for example, to surmount new challenges, to acclimate and become profitable. And so I'm going to talk to you about 10 different opportunities, 10 different ways where we have to adapt to acquire the maximum gain in our changing landscape. Now, if you can't read this text on slide 4, don't worry. This was the previous seminar where we went over 10 ideas. And if you want this, we will send this to you for free. Okay? Generosity is the name of the game right now because I want you to do well. Okay, that is it. That's kind of the new part of humanity is that when you share and you're generous, it's all one big karmic cycle. What were these 10 ideas that we talked about real quickly? I got them listed here on a paper because I can't even see the images. So we talked about oil, copper, and battery metals all going up. Has that happened so far? You bet it does. You bet it has. Copper, oil prices have gone up in the last month. We advised on that. Then we talked about scalar energy. That's a whole beast in and of itself. Then we talked about Bill Gates' sun dimming project that's going to begin this June 6th. So we'll have one more webinar and then he will begin his sun dimming project where he's going to put up a whole cloud of dust into the atmosphere and see if it cools down an area of the US. Number 7 of the top 10 last month was a manufactured crisis in global supply chain commodities. Wow. And look what's happened in the last 1 month. We really scored well in that. And then number 6 was all about EMF radiation. That's electromagnetic frequency radiation and COVID. You know, you have to think differently, guys. Just because you hear somebody say, oh, COVID is this little green virus with spikes. A lot of people will just say, oh, okay, we have to question everything. See, our research has gone down a different avenue and shows that COVID isn't necessarily a virus. It's a frequency. And of course, viruses have frequencies too. That's because they live. But how can we protect ourselves? And why is it only affecting some people and not others? So we went down that tunnel. Then we talked about Microsoft filing a patent to mine cryptos using human brain activity. No, nothing to see there, right? And especially with Bill Gates getting divorced. Did that surprise you? Why is that happening now? And why does Melinda not want any type of a prenup? You know, these are the questions you have to start asking yourself. Number 4 was the stock market was going up. And then, oh gosh, we talked about all of the different types of investments. Then we talked about vaccine passports, social credit systems, and transhumanism. The big one was number 2, the big burn in 2022, where we're expecting a big heat wave and drought. And then the number 1, top 10 last month, was mass instability. Have we seen that? Absolutely. Look at the random amounts of violence from unemployment and more control and depression and suicides going through the roof. The mainstream media doesn't really talk about this, but when you connect the dots, it's really changing our landscape. All right, well, are you ready, guys? Let's talk about the top 10 countdown, ranked threats and opportunities for May 2021. Now, realize there is a ton of information on each slide. I'm going to send this out to everybody here. Plus, you can look at this in the safety of your own home. And you can go over this. So what's number 10? Life has changed. So we all need to rethink the next 5-10 years out. I speak to farmers all the time. They're like, well, the next generation is going to be just doing the same thing that I'm doing. And I hate to break the news. No, they're not. We've got to think about what's changed. By the way, if I can ask everybody to mute their phones, that would be very kind of you. So basically, what we're doing is we're telecommuting.
Simon, just mute them for yourself.
What's that? Yeah, let me see. Let me get down to the controls here. And let me find out how to mute.
That's fine.
Let's see here. I don't know how to do that, Mark. And I don't want to. There we go. I think everybody's muted. If everybody can just mute, that'd be great. So basically, where was I? So everybody's not going to be going back to a corporate office. But get this, most laws are going to allow a new type of flexi work. But guess what? If you're doing that, you're going to be monitored. And then you're going to be reviewed on that app software. So if out of 10 people, if you keep leaving your desk and they take these random shots that you're not there, guess what? You're out in 3 months. And there's going to be all types of new laws saying that you can't fight it. Oh, yeah. A new type of corporate law will come into fashion. Now, there's also going to be, probably in a couple of years, with the Kamala Biden administration, notice I said Kamala first, there's going to be a new Bill of Rights rewrite. I don't know if you've heard about this, but they're talking about a modernization of the Bill of Rights. And then once that happens, you're going to see this gun grab. Remember, history repeats. The government will incentivize people to sell back their weapons. And guess what? If they're out of work, what other assets do most people have? Besides maybe a little bit of gold. They don't have much cash and they don't have much land. So they're going to have to sell their weapons to get food, especially because food prices are going to be majorly increasing in the next 18 months. And I'll get into that today. Also, see this one in gray down here? Watch for rapid escalation. Let me get my little spotlight here. There we go. Is that it? There. Watch for rapid escalation of unprovoked random violence with growing racial undertones in the US. This is how society is changing. So look, in case you're wondering, another passport is one of the best physical assets to own for the future. It gives you very important options. And these are the top 10 safest countries to get those second passports in. Let me go through this. I'm in Uruguay. Then there's Norway, Iceland, Costa Rica, Portugal, Denmark. So Europe, and one in Central America, one in South America. And then you've got Qatar, which is the richest country in the world right now. Then you've got Jordan, Botswana, and Uganda. Some of us haven't even heard of these, and I had to look up a couple of these where they were. But that's our list. You know, if you look up in Google the top 10 safest countries in the world, you'll get the US. But that's not now. That's no longer one of the safest countries in the world because of the advancing control. Silicon Valley is working on a big social score system like China. I'm talking about countries that are not going to monitor you. See, did you ever think what safety means? You may say to yourself, well, I don't want an armed robbery, or I don't really want to, you know, have my family molested when they go out in the street. Okay, these are 10 countries that you're probably going to get that or have that safety in. But I'm talking about, you know, going down the road and not being on 50 different video cameras like the UK. I will never, ever, ever go back to the UK, even though I was born there. It's a police state. And I'll say it for what it is, okay? Permit me to be nice. But we got to tell the truth here. So if you're ever thinking about getting a second passport, it takes a few years. And that's why I'm saying the next 5, 10 years, think it out on your vision board, because let's be honest. The next 10 years is all about our children. And it's also about setting up a go-to location for retirement, because the first world nations now aren't necessarily going to be the first world nations in 10 years. That's the shock. Number 9, it's all about social control. There is now an app that China's just rolled out where people, citizens, Chinese citizens, can report each other with quote unquote mistaken opinions. What? Yeah, that's if, let's say Rob says to me, Simon, don't you think China's a bit communistic? I'll be like, oh, where's that app? I'm going to put down Rob Froom says China's communistic. He's going to get minus 25 points on his social score. And if they verify that and they do send around an official to Rob's house, it's happening already in China, then they're going to possibly deny his children to an elite college. This is already happening, guys. So what I wanted to say to you is, when you think about an investment, I'm not just talking about getting a stock or a commodity. When we talk about the 17th dot and this group that we're in now together, we're talking about also protecting you, protecting ourselves, making sure that we use our brains, making sure that we're healthy, making sure that we sleep okay so that we can really gather abundance. See, it's all compartmentalized together. So think twice or think thrice about opining. I saw this comment about me online about a month ago, and I really wanted to, like, you know, say, who the heck do you think you are? And, and I thought, oh. So I just wrote myself a Word document and I got it out. But it's very bad to put something online. Think about it. In the future, we think that law enforcement is going to be determined less by the Constitution and legal code and more by end user license agreements that restrict many of your rights. So for example, say you went onto Airbnb and you booked up a place, right? And you broke 3 plates in the kitchen, but didn't report it to the owner. The owner's then going to call up Airbnb and said, listen, this guy was trash. He broke 3 of my plates and he didn't even tell me. Guess what? Airbnb, if they're a super host, they're going to believe them and they're going to deny you certain access to super host Airbnb places in the future. And guess what Airbnb's legal agreement says? Sorry, we don't have to tell you why you're banned. So every decision, every action, every thought that we're making now is being recorded in some way or fashion. And this article down here is from, it's through collaboration with the Wall Street Journal. It's talking about building a Chinese-style social credit system. And even the New York State Department of Financial Services announced that life insurance companies can base premiums on what they find in your social media posts. Guys, excuse me getting passionate about this, but this goes back, and all of these top 10 build on each other. This goes back to being in a safe environment. In Uruguay here, I don't have to worry about this because it's so old-fashioned. But guess what? Being old-fashioned is actually a big, big plus. Anyway, see these articles in the yellow area on each one of the top 10. There's these, what I call must-see links. And one of them is called The Game of Life. And it explains like every way that you're going to get rewarded and every way that you're going to get punished. But I reckon in 5 years or less, you're going to see this in the US. And people are going to be flagging their numbers. Like, look at this. If you have 729 and you have a friend of 411 that does all this bad stuff and jaywalks and throws gum on the side of the street and it's picked up by one of the cameras, your score goes down too. So what they're saying in China is you don't want anybody bad in your friend group. Can you believe this? Look, let's be honest. People that are vaccinated are already saying we don't want anybody that's not vaccinated. And the non-vaccine people are already saying we don't want the vaccine people because they can give us the virus. That's the craziness that's beginning. So you multiply this out 3 years and trust me, some big, big changes are coming. All right, let's build on the next one, number 8. We've heard all about cyber attacks. This is kind of old, but have you heard about frequency wars? That's what this top 10 is all about, expanding the mind. We know that there's all of these assaults, these digital or electronic assaults on gateways. They put in Trojans. They put in web client enforcement violations. They put in all of these different things. Look at these, malware. Have you heard of some of these? Polymorphic engines, scareware, social engineering security, Trojan horses, web shells, zombie. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So I'm asking you today, is your computer protected? Are you and your family protected? I hate to say it, but we've got 3 teens in our household, and we have to protect them online. I mean, that's kind of old stuff. But now the cyber attacks possibly could go onto the Hoover Dam. What if the Chinese or the Russians or the Syrians or somewhere else, or the Nigerians or whatever country you want to choose, launch an attack all on the Hoover Dam? And it's the main gateway, the main supply of water for Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Could that happen? You bet it could. What if all of us were a terroristic group? And by the way, just for the white vans outside, we are not, guys, okay? That was a metaphor. But what if we were? And we were all thinking, okay, what could we attack? What would we launch a cyber attack on? Poor. They have their list, okay? So in the West, think about this. And this is the whole thing about connecting the dots. The US Drought Monitor Index is the highest in 28 years and advancing. California is saying that early next year, they're going to have to implement new water restrictions that they've never done. What could that mean? Already in the Silicon Valley, down near Fresno, there's no more water in the ground. And they're wasting all the water down into the fisheries, and it just goes right out into the ocean. A lot of people don't know this, but it's putting fisheries before people. And I'm telling you, with all of the positive ions coming into the magnetosphere, which I'm going to get into today, this is a major, major threat. But guess what's also being attacked already? The human mind. Think about what Elon Musk wants to do. He wants to put a chip, right? He's already doing it with pigs and chimps. So people are lining up to want to get chipped. Hey, there's people of all different kinds. Don't include me on that. You're not even doing it when I'm dead. But people are going to get cyber attacked into the mind. And think about it. There's all these robots coming in. There's all these androgynous beings. It's pretty scary, but there's ways to get around this. And if you're a farmer, please check out this agricultural shield. It's unfreaking believable. And here's the PDF on the bottom. Remember, there's two main sections. It's called the investment opportunity in orange. And then we've got basically the links and the PDFs on the bottom. But what is this? It basically broadcasts or simulates a biological energy of scalar and solfeggio frequencies. And if you don't know what those are, look them up, because it basically improves the quality of your crops. And they have found all different types of ways that this protects different energies. For example, it's a big Tesla coil, and it can cover 50 acres, and you put it in the soil. It's just absolutely amazing. And I know what a lot of you are thinking out there. We've never heard of this. Of course you haven't. Because this is really going to the next level of intel to bring new abundance. So when I say frequency wars, they've already got Gwen towers every 250 miles over all of the US. And what are those Gwen towers for? They're used for changing the frequency. It's like a dial on the radio. Just look up Gwen Tower DARPA. And you're like, whoa, 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 slow down. Okay. DARPA is the Pentagon's dark black dog wing used to create new robotic systems, new frequency warfare. Okay. Yes, the Pentagon, the DOD does this, but they're also doing population control in case there was a riot. They actually have now militarized police units that they can go out in Chicago or St. Louis or wherever. They come on and they put out this device. It's a big black or blue box, and it sends out a frequency. People stop rioting. How is that possible? Mind control. And you think, Simon, this is conspiracy. Oh yeah, check it out. I would never, ever put my reputation on the line and tell you something that's stupid or just kind of fake or not there. This is all here. I'm simply connecting the dots and sharing this with you so that your life can become more abundant. Let's go to number 7, weather warfare. It was talked about, and there is a declassified military PDF you have to go and see, all right, back in years ago in the 70s, all right, that talks about how to break down an opponent. For example, a client came to me, what was it, back in 98, okay? We just begun AFC by about 6 years. And it was a client in New Jersey. It was representing a big group in Saudi Arabia. And I can tell you about this now because obviously it's way long gone. Anyway, the bottom line is they wanted me and our group here at AFC to be able to give them forecasts so that when there was a sandstorm, we would send out the alert ahead of time, and then they would go in and do their military excursion in Kuwait. You know when this was? It was in the wars. And I tell you, we turned it down. But that's how intelligent, that's how important weather forecasting is. It can be used for war. And I will never, ever get into that. But they wanted to pay a lot of money. But we really have to try to decide, okay, which line are we going to cross? The point about this one is, notice I underlined this word, implementation. So read this out. Climate change implementation is as much about radical ion changing technology as it is about monitoring and controlling a person's carbon dioxide footprint. Wow. Implementation means that they are doing it. They are modifying it. Yes, some climate change is already being technologically modified. And it's a dark, dark tunnel, an Alice in Wonderland tunnel that is not nice to go down, because you think, oh my God, why can't we just live on a sane, peaceful planet? Everybody just wants to, work a little bit, go home, play with the kids, kiss the wife, and so forth, right? Or kiss the husband. It's not like that. There is ionic technology. You've heard of HAARP, right? HAARP back in the 80s, the big unit that was up in Alaska that they supposedly took down, okay? They took down parts of it, but there's now a revolutionary type of HARP2 or HARP3. There's these different levels of technology where they're adding positive ions. Guess what positive ions do? They add in more heat and more drought. And what's happened over the last 10 years? We've had some of the hottest, driest years globally. And what do all the weather models say? Not ours. They say that the planet's going to cook and warm up and dry out. So this is implemented climate change. Also, check out something called carbon trace. They want all of us linked to a carbon credit system. So, for example, everybody will be allowed maybe 2 trips continentally. I'm talking about plane trips each year. If you want a 3rd one, you have to pay a carbon tax to the airline, and then they share it with the government. This is already happening in Europe. But Carbon Trace is an advanced AI and machine learning project backed by Google. And it's rolling out this summer. So probably by 22, 23, there's a very high probability that your carbon footprint will start to be monitored. And you'll have to pay tax, or you'll get a tax credit from the IRS, depending on how much carbon you used. That's why they started to roll out all the smart devices. That's why they put audios and video cameras in washing machines and dishwashers. And this has all been factually checked. They found this. So, you know, the investment opportunity here is defense contractors. If you wanted to go for something like, you know, investing in stocks, it'd be Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and new technologies in like GIS software, somewhere to map out this kind of planetary grid that they're using to implement this ionic technology, like, for example, GIS software like Esri, okay? And check out somewhere called Tesla Government Inc., okay? It has contracts with the DOD, with the Pentagon, and they admit that they are helping to change climate change, but it's not in the way that you think. They don't want to sort of necessarily just lower emissions. They are changing humanity just like they changed us with all of the lockdowns. So very, very interesting. And by the way, last but not least on this page, you can go over it later, but you see all this equation? This is, I wanted to share this with you. This is AFC's climate equation. All the things that make up climate. And would you believe it that 59% of it, of climate, is solar-based. 26% is normal atmospheric effects like volcanoes, water vapor cycles, global salinity shifts like the Gulf Stream and so forth. So that's 85% natural. They are tapping into those things and modifying them. 11% is anthropogenic, and 4% is the good old termites and the methane burps and things like that. All right, guys, I know your mind's becoming like kind of blown up right now, but let's keep going while we have some energy. Number 6, this is kind of sad, but what we've noticed is there's going to be an onset of neurological disorders and increased autoimmune disorders. Why? Frequency is affecting us. So as the world's energy, imagine it like in a vibration, okay? And you only have to look at the DOD. They talk about this all the time now. They talk about solar energies. There's so much information. Again, the 17th dot is we put 17 main pieces of information together, and then we get a big theme. So the theme is more and more people are getting unhealthy. And perhaps you've already seen this in your life, neighbors, people in your family. And I'm talking beyond COVID. They have more disorders. They have more pain. They have more neurological disorders. And this is ramping down the economic welfare of the world. And now we've checked it out. It is true through different agencies that miscarriages are suddenly going up. Some of it is due to COVID, but there's also something else. Prion brain complications. Remember prion in mad cow disease? Well, guess what they found? There's a new variant. Humans, the result of BSE mad cow disease, prions transmitted from a cow to human. Now, when you connect this up with what Bill Gates is doing and what Biden just said, what did Biden just say? That he only wants Americans eating 4 hamburgers a year. A year. They are going to be, starting next year, decreasing consumption. So what we are warning about is that there could be a stage 2 or a separate disease to mad cow disease using prions. Look, whether you believe it or not, did COVID come out of a lab? The answer is not clear on that yet, depending on the source. The thing is that could there be a biological weapon? Probably in the future. We don't know when, okay? Certainly all countries talk about it. But the biological weapon is not what you may think. It would be probably the top choice would be a prion. And what it does is, unfortunately, it does very similar to what it did to cows back in the era of mad cow disease. It makes people go crazy. And then we started connecting this to the CDC, which still talks about the zombie apocalypse. They have it as part of their site. Why? Then we started looking at films. And the one that came to mind was Scanners, where you feel pain, then you can't breathe, and then you explode. Now, obviously it's a movie, but there's some weird similarities. And the links below talk about that the eyes could be the portal for the prions to enter. And there's all this Indian research going on. So, you know, a lot of people just look at US research, but you've got to look at what are the Russians learning? What are the Indians learning? What are the Chinese learning? What are the Israelis learning? And many other countries, they're tracking different things. And it's very weird. So what can we do? Well, they are pushing this less meat consumption. So maybe, and this is just a note of caution, if you operate or are visiting cows, be aware, okay? Because there seems like this variant could occur soon. It's not a definite, but I just wanted you to all guys know, because a lot of this webinar is agriculturally based. All right, let's keep going here. Number 5, guys, there's going to be big, big changes in Brazil. I've been talking to a lot of people down there across all different fields. The real over the last few years has lost value. Look, I came to Uruguay a number of years ago, but I've been following this real. It was strong in 2018. It was only 3.2. Now it's 5.43. That is, they have to give 5.4 reals of their currency to $1. Sorry, is it the other way around? Hold on, let me think. Yeah, 5 reals to $1. And so basically it is going up. The forecast is that probably it will go to 6.5. Why? Bolsonaro, some people say he's got big ones, but a lot of leaders around the world, plus the so-called controllers, the new world elite that meet in Davos every year, they do not like Bolsonaro because he is against COVID. He says, don't worry about it. It's just a cold and so forth. So Bolsonaro is trying to just kind of brush this to the side and just keep the economy going, because he's seen that when you do lockdowns, when you do all kinds of other intensive kind of negative human sort of coercion, he thinks that it basically causes problems in the economy. And let's be honest, it has done in many countries. So what's happening on the backside of this? Well, Paraná has essentially turned into a desert. I mean, not like the, not like the Sahara or Kalahari, but we've seen a huge lack of rainfall. Now, some's coming in next week, all right? But it's too little, too late, all right? The safrinha corn is going down, and you're going to see yields go down and down and down. But I'm going to get onto this with commodities, guys, because it's not just about Paraná corn. We'll talk about this when we go to commodities, but there's not going to be enough corn. Paraná is a pretty important place when there's a drought. And this is going to likely cause food prices to go up because corn is in so many corners of the world and in so many different food groups. But there's another side to this. Lula. Do you remember President Lula in the old days and how he was kind of like the people's president? Very, very socialistic. But guess what? He went to jail. And just like a lot of other presidents that have gone to jail, they come back, okay? Mujica in Uruguay, Mandela in South Africa, and so forth. It's almost like, I mean, it's a joke. If you go to jail, then you're more likely to become a president of a country. I mean, go figure, right? Oh, and plus you got to smoke a little crack cocaine too. I'm being facetious. But you see how crazy the matrix is at times. So let's just say it's going to take time. But there's already independent inquiries into Bolsonaro. There's a force that's building up. And if Lula becomes president again, which I think is a strong chance, you will see the investment community go down. And the real is going to leap. Okay? Get ready to see all this change in reaction occur. And there may be other emergencies. Think about the 2022 big burn with the drought and the heat wave coming to the US next year. How is that going to complicate the global commodities? And I'm just going to tell you right now, we've started the Super Bull run. When Super Bull runs occur, they're rare. There's only 4 in the last 100 years. There's only 4 Super Bull run commodity runs in the last 100 years. But when they do occur, they're long term. And, you know, we could see wheat go double what we are now in the next 18 months. Double. Okay. I'm on film. I'm on audio here. All right. Everything that I say is coming back from a team. We may not be right. Okay. We can always agree to disagree. But basically, I would say that we are going to see a big, big problem in Brazil with an election, the real, and other things going wrong in that country. Let's go on to number 4, a bank holiday. Wouldn't you have thunk it in a first world nation and then a digital rollout phase 1? Woo! This is big. Biden, as you know, continues to have dementia. Whether you love him or hate him, there is very little denying. And again, we might agree to disagree. I'm saying it from our point of view. We think that Kamala will come in 2022. We told you this last month. It's a prediction for March of 2022, around there. And when this happens, we don't know how Biden's going to go out. We hope he won't die. If he's just not able to do his duties or whatever, and Kamala does a switch, they make a new law under new circumstances. Maybe Biden just says, okay, I want to give all my powers to you, Kamala. Okay. There's going to be some weird, like, new rule coming into the nation. And there possibly could be a national emergency. What kind of national emergency? Well, Franklin D. Roosevelt did something similar in 1933. And again, all the links are at the bottom. But here was the newspaper. Steps taken by Treasury to end bank holiday. There was a proclamation, all right, where you could not export, hoard, or earmark gold or silver, okay? And there might even be a couple of people listening, all right, in their 80s and 90s that remember this. But he did shut the banks for a few days. And I tell you, there is something very different coming. And it's all about a digital currency. And we may say, well, that was talked about a few years ago. Yeah, but they are getting ready. And we think that by the end of 2022, they're going to roll out for every American a digital wallet. And I'm going to talk to you today, very soon, in fact, in another 5 minutes, how this is going to happen and where to invest. What I want you to do, and this is pure heart recommendation, get out some of your money from the bank account, like take it out. Because remember, in most bank accounts now, you can only take out a little at a time. They don't allow you to take your own cash out. It's crazy. Now here in Uruguay, they do. You know, you can go down to the bank and say, okay, I want 50,000 in $100 roll, you know, bank roll notes. Yes, Simon, wait here 40 minutes. Okay. Can you do that in the US? No, you cannot. Even if you have 50,000. It's crazy. All right. So see the writing on the wall, and always excuse my passion, because we truly believe that something big is going to occur. So start getting, you know, and take out like 610, then take out 845, and then take out 3,100, and then take out 150. Switch it around, okay? So that it doesn't look like, don't just take out $3,000 every Thursday, okay? You'll get earmarked, all right? And, you know, do it carefully. The stories online that people have had, literally, the black trucks arrive at the house. Why are you taking out all this money? Well, it's my money. Yeah, but why are you doing it? See, we're going into, and this is the whole thing with this May 2021 conference, we're going into a new role of control. They've already shown us that they can lock us down. And how much of the world really questioned it? Okay, well, it's a virus. You know what I mean? So, you know, history repeats. Watch this. And a lot of people are even building their own safe deposit box. Now, look, you may want to do it like in the old days. I've seen some here. There was a guy that showed me, and, you know, we have trust. And he opened up the floors of his kitchen. Has like these little tiles. It looked perfect. And down in there was a chute, I don't know, 1 meter deep, 3 feet deep. And there he keeps his stuff. You can have your own safe deposit box, okay? And in the ground, if there's a fire, in any robbery, God forbid, it's safe, okay? Rather than keeping it in a bolted, you know, let's say safe above ground, all right? And there's all kinds of YouTube ways how to do this, but that's my recommendation. And last point on this, before I go to the top 3, whenever they change it over to a digital based currency, all right, and they transfer all your $10,000 to a certain form of digital money, the market will want the cash still. There's still going to be a cash market for probably 1 to 2, maybe even 3 years after it, all right, because there's the laggards. You have to have a blend. So, you know, there's going to be the change. And that will be a shock to all of us, just like COVID was a shock. There'll be other shocks coming down the road. Like I said, manufactured crises. But see, the good thing is, guys, you know, you may say, well, this is all doomsday. No, it's not. We can get ready because we know together. We are aware. We're conscious. We are not panicking. All right? So, you know, this is like the calm before a storm. It's much better to know what's going on. All right, guys, let's do it. We'll roll out the top 3. And this builds on the previous one, a digital asset for real-time global payments. Well, guess what the answer is? Ripple. It's also called CROP or XRP. There's many, many good sources that think that Ripple could IPO. American Express and other global banks linked up with Ripple 5 years ago. And now there's hundreds of banks that are partnering with Ripple, and they know. I got an easy rule: follow the banks. Follow the banks. They are revolutionizing a digital wallet global payment system. Look at this Interledger. Okay, this is like all the platforms in the world. You've got blockchains, you've got capital markets, you've got trade finance like Oracle, IBM. You've got the Internet of Things, okay, which is like Intel, Apple, Motorola, Tesla. You've got payment platforms, you know, PayPal and so forth. You've got marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Airbnb, which are, you know, they're revolutionizing too. You've got other platforms like Facebook, Microsoft, Google, Netflix, Uber, okay? All of them require payments. So what this is these are all ledgers, and on the left is all of the monetary networks. So you've got monetary networks on the left, you've got platforms on the right, and guess who was the genius that put all of this together so that everything is synthesized and can make payments backwards and forwards? Ripple. Ripple is in a high stakes legal tussle with the SEC since 2020. But we think this is a great thing, because once they get it all sorted out, okay, and they make a little payment here and they pay George over there, and yeah, okay, here's some champagne for the next 10 years, SEC, they're going to just blow up, all right? Blow up in a good way, all right? And the government is all supportive of this. And at the end of this week, I'm buying Ripple. It's about $1.50, all right? And I'm going to buy, I don't know, $1,000, let's say. And as a way to do it, okay, I can share that with you if you ever want to know. I found out how to do it, and I'd love to share that with you. But you can buy it on online, set up your own platform, and start investing. I've waited years. Now, hindsight's 2020. Should I have invested in Bitcoin? Maybe. But all my friends got hacked. So then I say, well, maybe not. You know? I mean, you can't go hindsight and say, oh, I should have done it, and then say, yeah, okay, well, I may have gotten hacked. I mean, I've made an okay decision. But now it was like intuition and research said it's after Bitcoin. This is where it begins, a new platform, a new ledger connecting everything, okay? And that is Ripple. Let's go on to number 2. Why would we put this rock to represent the entire slide? Remember, we've only got a limited space for each slide. This is iron ore. China is booming. Did you hear me? Booming. Oh my God, guys. Guess what? While the US suffered with all the COVID and millions and millions and millions of cases, did you see how many cases China got? After May of 2020, they got this amount. Now, the big question is why? We're checking into that. That's a very deep Alice in Wonderland tunnel. But while the whole world crashed, China blew up. And they are gobbling up all the potential iron ore the world has. In fact, they're paying suppliers, instead of diverting it from, let's say, Brazil to the US, they're like, listen, we'll pay you 18% more if you can like take that shipment there that's going like to New York, and you send it out to Shanghai, okay? Okay. It's happening. It's happening. And did you notice something else that's just happened? COVID is kind of done. Yeah, there's cases still. There's tons of them. India's terrible, right? But kind of it's opening up. All of a sudden, everybody got vaccinated. Okay, I get it. But now it's all opening up. New York City subways opening up all night. First time in over a year. I think it's early next week. So while that's going on and the world's opening up, China's just buying up everything. Check out the investment opportunity. Get iron ore as a part of your portfolio. You know, people think, okay, I got corn, I got some soy. Get iron ore. Iron ore mines in Australia and Brazil are very, very good. Those are the two main suppliers, but they're far away from China. There is a Brazilian mine called Vale, but if you remember in 2019, they had a big, big dam collapse and the whole area downstream became a wasteland. Terrible, terrible situation. 250 people died. It was terrible. But check out some iron ore mines and get that in your diversified portfolio. And check out these two articles that shows basically how they're pushing up iron and metal prices. Guys, there's some people in the US that are telling me there's no cars on car lots. Metal is just going off the lot, supposedly. Anyway, I'll let you do some of the math and the connections, but this one is huge. All right, guys, roll drum. Let's go to number one, top 10 for May 2021, a massive commodity rise. You're like, Simon, I knew that. Well, what's the crisis? After in the Q&A, if anybody can tell me what was really the crisis, why are all these commodities like supercharging? It's because China and many nations have decided on the next manufactured crisis. And you may agree to disagree, but they are buying like there's no tomorrow. And what's the crisis? It's triple F, food frickinflation. You like my new word? Food frickinflation. Now, obviously, if you try to reverse engineer why the commodities went up, we started noticing back in last September, lumber prices were going up a lot. And I thought, here we go. Here we go. See, powering our corn is such a small issue compared to the central themes, and I'll give them to you. China, like I just said with iron ore, digital currency coming in about 18 months, controlling people, which we talked about a number of different ways that they're doing that with social scores and life insurance policies and all kinds of things, and buy. China wants whatever's in front of them. Whatever has important value, they want it. So there's going to be big groups that want to have more control of seeds, more control of food supplies, more land corridors to get oil in, more distribution rights. And I would expect also to add to the chaos protectionism and hoarding. All right, once more people kind of see the writing on the wall. So what I advise, number one, if you have a farm, make sure to review your legal agreements and legal structure with your attorney, because there's going to be new laws in the Biden administration saying that you can't own more than X. That might take 3 to 5 years, but they may limit how many acres a certain person can buy. They may limit how many cows you can own. This is all coming down. And we found on the commodity list that cocoa was basically the only one going down out of it, Ivory Coast and Ghana. But even rubber's going up. And it's just amazing what wheat, which is lagging the other ratios, as you know. Other people out there are much better experts than me. My expertise is not in commodities, but I do advise on them because of the weather and obviously due to economic fronts. But wheat could double, right? That's what we're looking at over the next 18 months. And especially, may I politely remind you that when we get the 2022 drought and heat wave in the US, that's it. That's why we're saying that this super bull commodity run is probably going to just continue. It'll go in leaps and bounds. Like, it's not going to just go super up. We may see that right now, but then there'll be the big boys that take their cut. Okay. And that could be a crisis. Now we've got to think out of the You've got to think out of the box. We're working on that for the next webinar. What could that crisis be that would send corn, wheat, soybeans down 30 to 40% once they reach their first peak? It's going to be possibly something under technological control. Okay. And I don't mean to be general, but that's the way it's going to be. just invest, you know, in the portfolio. There's big groups that control the food chain. They are going to do very, very well. And if they have a link to, let's say, China, like Tyson, they're going to do even better. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm going to turn it back over to Mark. We really look forward to divergently thinking with you this year and beyond. And you just tell us when we're ready to serve you with more details. Mark, back to you. All right, Mark may have taken a break. So guys, let me unmute everybody. I don't know how to do that, I think, but everybody can unmute themselves, I think. Please, if you have a question, the first question right here at the bottom is, how do you buy Ripple? Well, the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go to uphold.com and I'm going to buy Bitcoin. And then what you do is you change the Bitcoin over to Ripple. And then if you want to buy, then what you can do after that, that's the first stage. So that's how you get it. If you want to get interest on your Ripple, there is a site, I think, called Nexo or Neuro. I'll have to write that down. I'll have to figure that out later. I don't remember the exact name, but that's where you can send it over to that site, to that platform, and then earn interest. Look, it's not easy. They don't make it easy to do. It's not like just opening up a bank account. And we have to be aware of each platform. Okay, a lot of people will say Uphold is good. Another one is in Estonia. It's called like Covex 24. There's other sites, so you're going to have to choose the one that you prefer. But Ripple does seem like it's the one because all the banks have chosen it in the last few years, and they're doing these silent relationships in the background. Any other questions?
Simon, this is Mike. I got two questions. One,
yes, Mike.
You mentioned taking some cash out and then converting us to a digital wallet. You briefly touched on that the actual cash may have value for a year or two. Are you talking actual paper money will have value for a year or two?
Yes, 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 yes. So, Mike, thanks for your question. Good afternoon to you. So, basically, you don't take out the cash to buy the digital currency, okay? You basically would buy the Ripple using a credit card, okay? And you basically cannot, on all platforms, buy Ripple right now because it hasn't gone through this squabble. There's a big fight with the SEC. So some trading platforms are not allowing you to buy Ripple, but Uphold is. If you buy Bitcoin and then convert it. But what I was saying, Mike, is on that slide, you take out a portion of your cash and start doing it now because you just cannot take out huge amounts. And it will be able to be supplying you with a sort of a good asset to buy things on the different markets, groceries, different things by 2023, 2024, 2025. And it will be good for 2-3 years. Plus, Mike, let's say you move to Uganda or Uruguay or other countries on that top 10 list outside of America. You know, when you retire or you wanted to give it to the kids when they go out to Costa Rica or let's say Jordan, those dollars are going to be big time assets, a number of years, up to 5-8 years, even down here.
Okay. My other question is about the resonant light technologies, frequency machines. You touched on that at the beginning. Yeah. Is that something that you endorse? And I have arthritis. Does it work on that?
Oh, Mike, it's the best. Look, it is $10,000, but it is the best $10,000. And I look you in the eye, Mike. I'm a medical practitioner. I've studied medicine for 15 years. I got my degree in India. I got a doctor of science. I'm not an MD. But I do treat patients down here in Uruguay using PEMF, and it's just an amazing device for everybody out there. It's pulsed electromagnetic frequency. It's a plasma tube, and it's amazing for arthritis or scoliosis. Yes.
Brad could probably talk a little bit about it once he gets a handle on it, and I can hook Brad and Mike up. You know, Brad just bought a
Great. Yeah, Brad just bought one, and then his father-in-law, I believe, bought one too. So that was a big expense, but he's just basically invested in his whole family's health for the next, 20, 30 years, whatever. So,
All right, thanks.
yeah. And listen, just so you know where my heart is, if you buy that machine and you don't want it anymore, I'll buy it off you.
They got a pretty good return policy, like in 3 months or something.
Yes, they do. Yeah, but I put my mouth where, where my money is, or my money where my mouth is. I mean, it's that good, Mike.
How about you buy it in 3 months? If it's good, he'll pay you for it.
So yeah, Mike, thanks a lot. Any other questions on anything? Rob, you want to kick off with a question? Because, I mean, you have so much knowledge. Did you see anything in there that really kind of hit you?
You mentioned, I think, a couple months back about Bitcoin being hacked, and you talked about it today. Yeah. Is the big hack coming? Can you expand on that?
Yeah. So basically, I've had 5 friends that shared their journey closely with me over the years in Bitcoin. All of them had a hack. And the lady that lost the most was down here. She lost 50,000, and she had to leave Uruguay because that was her savings that she was earning. That she was hoping that Bitcoin, this is when it was like $5,000. She would have been half a millionaire by now, and she had it all taken. So we have to be very careful still with the platform that we choose when we get cryptocurrency. I mean, every day people's accounts get hacked. But now they are really sort of making this harder and harder and harder. And especially now, have you noticed, Rob, and everybody listening, in the last 4 months, how the number of cryptocurrencies from Dogecoin to Pirate R, there's so many different cryptocurrencies now coming in that it's almost hard to kind of keep tabs on it all. But the reason is because everything became more secure. All the guinea pigs that tried it, unfortunately, all the newbies to anything new technologically, Rob, there's a lot more risk. But the latecomers also have more security, but they didn't get the upwind of, buying it at $3. I mean, I know people that bought Bitcoin at $3. They got private planes and, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, so that's it on there. Alrighty, anything else that I hit on so many different things, and this is what's great about these calls is because they expand our minds. They make us think.
Hey, Simon, what do you think about sending out a little more detailed outline of what we're going to touch on your 10 risks and opportunities prior to the call, so everyone can kind of read it and get a grasp of it before you talk about it, and then hear your thoughts?
Yeah, well, we research literally starting tomorrow. It takes us a long time to do these research things. So I don't know how many days before we might be able to do it. I wouldn't want to promise you anything.
It's totally up to you. If you don't want to do it, it's no big deal.
I don't want to promise that at this point, because as we're growing, I think it's better if we actually kind of make it a surprise, and then we send it out, the PDF, and then with the subscription, we can then support you with all of the different things.
Yeah, that sounds good. So yeah, everyone on the call, we're going to send out, we'll obviously send out the recording, and then we'll send out the slides, right, Simon?
Yeah, and if they didn't get the April one, I'd like to obviously include that too. So that, the idea is, guys, just to summarize, because I don't want to respect your time. You think you've got 10 major ideas every month. You got 120 a year. 3 of them, 3 big ones will make you a big winning. You just take any of those. And so at the end of the year, think about it. You got 10 presentations and you're okay, what am I going to do this month? You take 1 a month and you can really do your research. You don't have to research all 10, but if you research 1, the guarantee is that if you do your math, you do your research, it will make you money, and it will make you health too. That's the important one, guys. We're going more towards health, bringing you money, rather than you working 18, 19 hours a day, slaving away at the screen to make money. That paradigm is no longer there. And that's what everybody's waking up to. All righty. Going once, going twice, going thrice. Any other points? Don't be shy.
One other thing is, here, I want to talk to everyone real quick before we got off and then we're done.
Yeah.
If you want to reach out to Simon, just give me a call and I will set that meeting up for you.
Thank you.
And talk to him personally. You know, I'll include my number on well, everyone has my number. It's always on the invites or webinars, but it's just in case. It's 785-545-5478. So reach out to me. I'll facilitate a conversation with Simon. He's fairly busy most of the time, so I will. We stay in pretty good contact though. So
yeah. All right. Just wanted to wish everybody an awesome spring month. I'm sure everybody's watching the commodity markets, and just be aware. Use your heart. Think of health number 1. That's how you get abundance. And we'll see you next month. Mark,
I have one more question.
Thank you, Gibson. There is one last question.
Yeah, Simon, this is Mike again. At our last webinar, you mentioned that the Midwest was going to be dry this year, but that we were going to get needed rains in June and August to save us. Are you still saying that?
Yes. And we do bi-weekly weather predictions with tons of details showing you where and how much, and the long range, going out day by day. It's very, very high precision meteorological intelligence. And, I'd love to have you come aboard. But basically, Mike, June, probably after the 10th of June through the end of the month is wetter for the Midwest. And then August, sort of near normal. So dry May, much wetter June, very dry July, and sort of near normal for August. But 2022, 80% of the time dry all summer.
All right.
One thing we were working on for this 2022 big burn that Simon's talking about is we were working on some strategies last night. And I think they make a lot of sense for guys. If you want to know a little bit about those, we'll
awesome.
I don't want to blanket give a recommendation out to everybody because it might not fit everyone's
right.
Yeah. Needs. But we have a couple decent options that we're playing that I think if you're right, Simon, they'll work really well. So
beautiful. I love it. Yeah. Well, we're already seeing the writing on the wall. As you see the Texas area heat up over the next couple of weeks, you're going to get the north cool and the south warm. That's because all these positive ions are coming in from the Pacific up from Mexico. And then in late May, all the U.S. goes warm. Then you've got a rainy June. Okay. So that's going to be good for planting. Okay. And for growing. And then you get a big whammy in July. Hot, very hot, and very dry. And then you're back to sort of warm and normal for August. So it's definitely going to keep us on our tails. But like I said, when the cooler and the rainier systems come on in to the Midwest in June, keep an eye. I'm giving you a warning right now. We're not going on a parabolic commodity run. There'll be breaks because the big boys want to take their profits. All right, guys, on that note, I from South America, be well, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, Mark. Thanks, Gibson, and thank you, Rob. Cheers.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Emotional reservoir.